Hello everyone and welcome to Wayfarers East with another Heroclix tutorial. Today we're going to be moving into a little bit more of a technical side of the game, and that is going to be movement. We're going to learn how to move our characters. Now if you look at the dial, as we said in a previous video, the foot represents the movement, so the number 6 would be the movement value that the character has. In this case we're using Wolfsbane. I know I made a oopsie in my earlier videos referring to this character, but so he has a movement value of 6. I also want you to take note that in the bottom right hand corner of the dial he's got a blue 1. If you ever see any colored boxes, just don't worry about those for right now. We're not going to worry about those. We will get to those at a later video. So he's got a movement value of 6. So that means that when you want to move a character, you can move him up to 6 spaces in any way, shape, or form. And what I mean by that is you can move him forward, you can move him backwards, you can go left or right, and I did that completely backwards, but that's alright. And then you can also do that at a diagonal. You can move at a diagonal. So basically any way, shape, or form you can move. And when you have a movement value of 6, that means you can move 6 squares at any one given time. Now, when you move in Heroclix, it's considered to be something called a move action. It requires a specific type of action in order to perform the duty that you want to do. So if he wants to move, say he wants to move a square forward, that's all, then he can move 1 square, but then he must be given an action to do it. A non-free action is what that's called. So he would be given something called an action token, like that. In this case, we'll be using my X-Men poker chips. So when you get an action token, you just put it underneath your dial like that. Now, when you're moving, sometimes you'll want to move into the green hindering terrain like that. When you move into green hindering terrain and you do not have the ability to fly or a specific ability to do otherwise, you must stop when you first enter that terrain. Also, when you move out of the terrain, remember we have a 6 movement, you have your movement for the total amount of movement that you can move. So if you have 6 and you want to move out, you can only move up to 3 squares at a time. If you move any more than that, that's against the rules and you're going to have to readjust where you're at. Also, if you take a look over right here, we have the red. Now, when you're moving and you do not have the ability to fly, you must use the stairs to move up. You cannot go from this square to this square without passing through this square first. You have to take the stairs in order to move up the elevated terrain. You also cannot just jump up here. That would actually count as 1, 2, 3, and 4 spaces moved. And then last we have our blocking terrain, and I'm going to move my camera here for this. And we have blocking terrain right here. I'm doing a little bit of a freestyle. When a character, say, is right there on the side, and he wants to move, he cannot move through the blocking terrain unless he has an ability to do otherwise. He must move around it. Now he can do diagonal like this, but he cannot move through it. And now when there's only one blocking terrain sitting there, it's not really a big deal. But now imagine if there was a wall of blocking terrain, you would not be able to move through it. Now, also, in referring to blocking and hindering terrain, if there are 2 terrain, which we'll be using with these markers right here, if there are 2 terrain and you would like to move through them, you may. You do not have to stop. So for example, if you're starting right here, you do not have to stop right here or anything. You can go like this, but once you diagonal through those terrain markers, you have to stop moving. Now, when you have, let's see if we have a block or a barrier. We'll say this is a barrier right here. So there's 2 blocking terrain over on the side. Now, if you want to move to this spot right here, you would not be able to do that because there's 2 blocking terrain. It's basically like a wall in your way. So you would have to go around like that. Now that's one of those scenarios that I'm talking about where it would get very confusing, or not confusing, but hard to move your character. And then remember, anytime you give a move action, you have to be given an action token, like that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned how to move a little bit. And make sure you like and subscribe and check out Wayfarers East on my channel, my Twitter, my Facebook, my website. We got it all. And without further ado, I hope you all have a great day.